debate for the Ministry of Public Works that took place on the 9th of March, I'd like to highlight the departments that were discussed in the House and provide a forward look to completion of various ongoing projects. This year, like last year, had resulted in diminished budgets across government, with the position taken to strike a balance between services provided and the maintenance of current staffing levels. The diverse makeup of the departments within the ministry are critical to Bermuda's daily functions and are part of the government's commitment to maintain jobs and generate economic activity. The Ministry of Public Works is responsible for maintaining Bermuda's critical assets and infrastructure, as well as delivering the many services this island depends on. Some of the assets and infrastructure that the ministry is responsible for building and maintaining include 617 roads amounting to 225 kilometers of road surface, 751 buildings maintained by public lands and buildings with an insured value of over $1.5 billion, 85 public docks and purpose-built berths servicing cruise ships, cargo ships, and hundreds of private vessels and yachts each year, 5 reservoirs with a capacity of 2.5 million gallons of Bermuda's precious and very limited freshwater resource, 75 amenity parks, beaches, and school grounds protected under the Bermuda National Parks Act 1986, and Ocean View and Port Royal golf courses. The budget allocation to the Ministry of Public Works for 2022-23 is $69,259,000, which is $2,249,000 greater than last year's budget. The increase will primarily be used to cover the 5 apprentices that will be hired within the Department of Public Lands and Buildings. In addition to the apprentices, the ministry will look to fill some vacant positions that have been identified as needed in the upcoming year. This will also include a number of solo sweepers who will assist the ministry. You will note that the Tynes Bay Waste to Energy facility has been encountering many mechanical challenges over the years, with the most recent being an overall shutdown of the plant, which resulted in baling of garbage and temporary landfilling. Thankfully, our engineers and technicians at the facility continue to come up with solutions to keep the plant running. However, we cannot always count on our good fortunes. So to err on the side of caution, we have allocated funding to pay Belco for energy should the plant be out of commission for any reason. The Tynes Bay drop-off facility is another area that will be covered by the additional funding, which is currently being operated by Hunt's Sanitation. Lastly, the external hiring of equipment will be covered by the additional funding this year for the Marsh Folly and airport locations. The anticipated revenue for the ministry is projected to be $13,011,000. This revenue is primarily derived from waste collection and disposal, water and sewage refuse, electricity generation, and property rentals. The total capital budget for the ministry amounts to $39,634,000. A sizable amount of this, $7 million, will be used for significant maintenance upgrades to the Tynes Bay Waste-to-Energy facility. The Department of Public Lands and Buildings is responsible for managing the government estate of our public schools continue department on aligning schools, with 5 also being painted on the exterior. During the summer vacation period, repairs and improvements to HVAC systems will be made in all schools. Boundary wall and embankment work will be carried out at 3 schools, and surveys performed across others to inform long-term planning. In 2021-22, the department commenced work for the installation of roof-mounted solar panels on 4 key government buildings: the Government Administration Building, the General Post Office Building, the Transport Control Department Building, and the Department of Public Lands Public Transportation Facility in Devonshire. The project is advancing apace, with the GPO building being the first to come online shortly. Building on the success of this project and in support of the government's strategy to utilize alternative energy, the Department of Public Lands and Buildings is assessing financing and procurement options for solar systems on the rooftops of approximately 30 government buildings. The estimate new across the island has been led by Belco is set to be completed next year. It was 2 years ago when we announced a joint venture with Belco and the Ministry of Public Works to launch a 3-year plan to upgrade their underground cable network. The work is progressing across the comment adjustments to.
Oh, thank you so much. Afternoon, Minister. We wanted to start, we were in the headlines on Monday. It's separate from Public Works, obviously, but this is to do with the Privy Council ruling on same-sex marriage. If you had any view on that you could share.
You want me to opine on that?
It's, yeah, entirely.
I'm a
entirely
member of the government that took the case to the Privy Council, and so I'm pleased with the outcome, as the proponents of same-sex marriage would have been had they won.
Got it, sir. Thank you. Moving on to Public Works. I have it here, the capital spending is expected to be almost 20 million less in the coming fiscal year than it was estimated for 21-22. Oh, that's what the Premier said. Just generally, can you tell us about what that would mean for projects that will now not be going ahead?
It means that they will not be going ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
our experience in capital works is that we always underspend what is budgeted. And so I think we're going out on a limb this year in reducing the budget to see if we can't manage it.
Thanks. I mean, roads have come up in your remarks just now. You said a while back that you admitted the roads were in some atrocious shape in some areas. Other than the Belco work, can the public expect to see other road work happening in the next fiscal year?
Well, there is other work going on in St. George, and that BLDC is trenching from St. David's to St. George's to provide services to not only the new Hotel St. Regis, but St. George's Club and residents of St. George in terms of water and sewage.
You mentioned significant upgrades coming for Tynes Bay. Are you able to just go into more detail on that? Give like the timeline and cost you're anticipating for those upgrades to Tynes Bay?
Well, the cost, if we had our way, is $150 million to completely refurbish both streams at Tynes Bay. The $7 million that is being spent in this upcoming fiscal year will cover maintenance to the boilers and some of the other key areas of Times Bay to keep the plant running, whilst plans are being made to provide for the major upgrade that is to come.
I see. I wanted to touch on municipalities. I was curious about this one. So the corporation elections have been delayed they've been put off for another year.
Mhm.
What is the government's role in the corporations right now?
The Ministry of Public Works has responsibility for the corporations. And by that, what that means is that the minister responsible for public works must approve all the resolutions of both corporations. At this stage of the game, that is the extent of the involvement, other than collaboration on various other activities that the corporations may be doing. We have a greater role in St. George in that we are currently engaged in providing some funding for the repairs to, I never remember the name of the wharf, what the pier that,
Ordnance Island?
No, the wharf that you go across past the square to get to.
Penna's Wharf, isn't it?
Anyway, we are providing assistance and funding and guidance to the repair of that wharf so that it can be turned into a super yacht facility.
Gotcha. The last one from me. So I wanted to ask about botanical gardens. You said in the House that community and industry groups have come on board to help out with that, and you talked about upgrades to the collections, replacing benches, picnic tables, and so forth. Again, we were hoping to hear a bit more about what's happening at botanical gardens, if you're able to expand on that.
We've had a number of complaints about the state of botanical gardens, which we've taken on board and allowed the funding that is available to carry out upgrades at botanical gardens. I think their capital budget this year has gone up by about $400,000.
Nice.
Department of Parks, some of that money will use to improve the amenities at the botanical gardens.
Cool. Thanks. Appreciate you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
That concludes today's press conference. Thank you very much, members of the media, for tuning in. Have a good day.